Ready? Watch him. Oh,
he's like, oh. There's a little like neck crack before going in there. That's that's relatable. That's serious business.
Oh my god, I've been there. And Steven's going to be there in about 20 minutes because he hasn't eaten lunch yet.
Felix Auger-Aliassime.
Bianca Andreescu is a US Open champion. Shapovalov is the moment.
Lola Fernandez. It is another performance to remember for the Canadians.
All right, we are back for episode 10, North of the Net, a Canadian tennis show by the Slice Tennis after a 1-month absence. The crew has been reunited. Karina, Steven, and of course Brendan, the guy speaking right now. Guys, how you doing? It's been a while.
I didn't even register that it was a month. Like, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's been a month. We kind of just, there's been so much action going on. You got to find the right moments to like recap it all. And I feel like this is the right moment to recap what's happened and what's going to happen at the US Open.
Yeah, it was finally nice to meet Karina because we kicked this show off in March. And it felt pretty seamless. I thought we were friends until we got to the first presser room, and then we ended up throwing elbows to get the first question. But Karina was definitely crushing it. Got to talk to her idol and Simona. And
who won
kudos,
the tournament?
by the way. Kudos, by the way, Karina.
Yes,
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, is that a good luck
tournament? Yeah, that tournament
I think
could
she
not
was.
have gone better. Yeah, I have to be at all her tournaments now. That's how it works.
Yeah, you were definitely.
Karina, though, very unprofessional. I heard from a source that Karina was crying in the broadcast booth out of
no one
pure
saw me.
joy.
No one saw me. I shed a few tears and then I quickly wiped them away.
Just
That's
had
awesome.
the Romania flag going with the sign. Simona. That was sweet when people were chanting that. That was pretty awesome. But it was cool to finally meet Karina, and I had a fantastic time in Toronto for the MBO. My only other experience was as a fan in 2016 to watch Milos. So really, really cool. Met some great people, and obviously free access to tennis. That was wicked. So I think my favorite was probably watching Serena in round one knock off Perez Diaz. You can correct me on that, Steven, if I'm mispronouncing that. Perez Diaz, but that was pretty wicked because we didn't know, like, that could have easily been her last match in Canada, but I wasn't able to watch her round two loss to Belinda Bencic, which I guess would have been a little bit more compelling, but I can say I watched one of Serena's last matches in Canada, so I'll take that. It was pretty incredible.
I was there for her last match against Bencic, and it was like quite emotional. It was kind of nice that Toronto did that farewell for her and got that interview after she lost, because in Cincy she kind of just walked off the court and that was kind of it. But so yeah, it was really nice. Like, you could feel all the emotions. Like, I almost cried, and like I was never like a Serena like super fan. Like, I appreciate her greatness. I understand like her dominance in tennis and like her importance in sports in general. But that night I actually felt like a little bit emotional. Like, this was her last time that she was going to be in Canada playing as a tennis player.
It was pretty remarkable, and to have her in Toronto too. Like, I'm driving home and I'm like, I'm in York, and like Serena like peruses through these grounds. Like, just to think that they're all like walking around. Like, I don't usually like, and I'm sure with you guys as like media broadcast members, like, I don't usually get starstruck with athletes now. It's just kind of like, okay, like, we have to ask them a question. Like, it's like there's that media athlete relationship, so it's like it's not like you're a fan, but two athletes that starstruck me if I ever saw them in person, and now one I can say it is Serena Williams and Tom Brady. They just have that aura about them that they just they know who they are. They radiate the room. And I don't know about you, Serena, but Serena was pretty blunt in that first news presser. I think the first question she was just like, "Well, it's just one game."
Yeah.
And then the room was just silent, and they're like, "Anybody else?" Like, and then people just panicked, but. It was just one game, and then unfortunately she lost to Bencic the next one. So, but I loved when she talked about her kid Olympia too. That was very sweet.
Yeah, that was a good question, Brendan. Before we get going any further, North of the Net is presented by PointsBet Canada, which we will get into some odds later on the show. But I was stuck here I was stuck here in Europe during the NBO. So I guess I'll ask you guys, what was your favorite? Both your favorites, kind of like behind the scenes moment from being media members on the grounds in Toronto?
Yeah, so my favorite part was getting to ask Simona Halep a question in media. Like that's been my like lifelong dream, like as long as I've been into tennis. And like actually, and it's so crazy because like I've done Zoom media pressers before, like in basketball, but like to be in person and actually looking at these athletes and like making eye contact and like there's just a different like emotions you can, it's like a human to human experience, and you know you're just missing that with Zoom. So being able to like kind of talk to like the biggest tennis stars in the world and then my favorite Romanian athlete ever, like that was pretty surreal.
I think for me it has to be the media meals that were provided, discounted price that Steven warned me about, so that was great. Chicken
were they good?
They were actually pretty good. I think one of the night matches I had like the chicken tikka masala. It was unreal. Just porked it down.
Okay.
No, I mean generally the food was like just okay, but I love those flow drinks. I gotta say, I don't know, Karina, do you have some of those?
I had
they're just water.
Yeah,
but I'm just like no, but they're like it's like different water. It's just like
it's alkaline water.
I feel more clear. Oh, that's what it is, right?
Yeah,
taste the difference. So they were just giving those out for free to media. We'll love to hear that.
Yeah, and bubbly, so that was pretty nice. But I think my favorite experience is probably getting Layla and Bianca to say good question. No, it was just Bianca. Sorry. Layla, I just asked her about if she's still consuming syrup on the regular.
You got to laugh, though. That was
nice. That was nice to kind of get the jitters out. Because that was my first, I don't know about you, Karina, that was my first kind of news presser experience. So
yeah, definitely in person. It was it was nice to see. Like the Canadians were super, super nice. Like Layla and Bianca were like absolutely fantastic.
Very receptive. Very receptive. But
yeah, they're pros. That's cool. You guys did a good job. Like I heard both your questions, I think, getting asked. And yeah, you know, a good question is asked when they give a good response, basically, is how it kind of goes. So
exactly.
You guys crushed it. You guys crushed it on the ground.
And our other guy, Julian, crushing it in Montreal as well. So maybe we'll have him on in the future to briefly discuss his experience. Although nothing from Curios apparently.
Yeah, we should get him to discuss his experience. He was like, I think in Montreal they actually did the media like even dirtier. So like, not that it was that dirty in Toronto, but like the meal vouchers. So the meal vouchers were like you bought a meal ticket for $20 for a meal, and then it was just $20 per meal in Montreal for them. It was like different. I was like, what? I was like, that's like usually like a lot of other tournaments. I'm like, this might not get us any points with Tennis Canada, but like a lot of other tournaments like give you like free buffet meals, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner at tournaments. So I understand, you know, we're coming out of the pandemic, you know, budgets are tight, but Julian felt that was getting done pretty dirty, so I think he just hit the hot dog stands and stuff. But, he had a good time in Montreal, and there was some fireworks there as well. Let's just quickly talk about the winners of those tournaments. Like in Montreal, like kind of Pablo Carreño Busta on the men's, like out of absolutely nowhere. Not nowhere. Like he's a good hardcourt player, but a player that most casual tennis fans coming to watch the NBO like probably wouldn't really know even who he is or like follow him at all. So interesting winner. And then Karina, your golden girl, came through and just won the whole tournament, which is just amazing.
I'm not going to lie. I was not confident at all. I mean, like the second I knew she was playing Haddad Maia, in my head, I was like, okay, she's not going to win. Like Haddad Maia's knocked off like every player you can think of to get to the final. But it was really nice to see her pull that win out. But yeah, it was quite an incredible moment. Like that was my first time seeing her win a tournament in person. Like I've seen how to play matches before, but to see her like in a final, that was like my first time in person. So it was a pretty incredible experience all around.
Yeah, I wasn't paying too much attention to the men's finals, but for Karina's sake, my co-host, I was more involved with him, Simona's match. But you mentioned Haddad Maia. I mean, what a run still. Like she obviously beat Layla to eliminate one of the main Canadians in the field on the women's side, and then obviously knocked off world number one Iga Swiatek, and then gave Simona a bit of a run too. So I think she's 26. She's like mid-20s. Like she was pretty solid, and I thought she was playing excellent tennis in her time in Toronto. But that was a player spotlight for me.
Yeah, and it was really nice to see Bianca playing again. I thought like for her form is getting to be really, really good. I thought she played really well at this tournament. Even though I think she lost to Bencic, right?
No, Zhang, I think.
Zhang. Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, my God. Zhang. I swear, God, I've had my eyes on Zhang ever since she beat Halep, like, at the French Open. But
yeah, she's good.
She's very good. I think once she like cleans up some of her like mistakes, like she's gonna be pretty hard to beat on the tour. But it was nice to see Bianca kind of back in form. I thought like that everything that we love about her game, like her ability to adapt to her opponent within the game and kind of change up her shots, like all that variation is what makes her so like difficult to play against. And I love watching her play. And it was nice, I think, in her first match against Kasatkina, it was a little bit of like dramatics, as like she called it, but I really like seeing that emotion from her because in the next couple of matches she was kind of more subdued. So I like the emotional Bianca. I don't know if everybody else likes the emotional Bianca, but personally I do.
I do too. Yeah,
I like the emotional Bianca. Like she has that kind of like very fighting like spirit when she's like, come on, like she'll like say it like super hard and you're like scared, but you're on her team, so you're like, let's go. Yeah, I love it. She was getting I didn't see the drama match. Like Brendan, maybe you did. Like, were you there at the drama match? Like where she like put out a statement on Instagram about, she's like, yes, maybe I was being a bit dramatic, but couldn't control that. Like, whatever.
Here's the thing. I have a hot take about this. Okay, are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Everybody was so upset because at one point during the tiebreak, she went to sit down on her chair because she wasn't feeling good. And like she was just like leaning over a bunch and just like kind of, if you would want to say, like disrupting Kasatkina and like the flow of the game. However, from what I could see, like from what she was dealing with, it looked like she was dizzy and like she couldn't really see in front of her and she was feeling nauseous. And like personally, I know what that feels like. And when you're feeling like that, like you can't do anything. So like, of course she wanted to sit down. So like everybody's treating this as if she's like being dramatic or like we don't know what's going on. But if you're going through one of those like dizzy spells and like you're feeling nauseous, like it's completely normal to me. So like I feel like there should have been more sympathy around her. I guess that's my hot take. I don't know. I just felt like a lot of hostility. Like the fact that she had to apologize like 5 times for being dramatic tells me that like it's been brought up before with like her previous matches and that she's like prepared to say, I'm sorry for my attitude. She said that in like her post match interview, which I thought was like crazy because I didn't see that as attitude.
Yeah, that I think she's just really like nice and like opening, like saying that, like, which is because I think she's very kind of like above her. She elevates her like mentality above her emotions, which is like, cool and strong. But yeah, like what do you want her to do? Just go stand out there and like fall over being dizzy? Like it's like if it was like an ankle or a knee pain, like you would go sit down no matter, even if it's in the middle of a tiebreaker. So going to take a seat because you are feeling dizzy is like not controversial in my opinion. But it's like that's that disconnect, right? When then people can't see something like, oh, his knee hurts or her knee hurts, then they're like, oh, it must be fake if it's like mental or like, which is still a bit, I get it because it's like you can't see what's going on, but I don't know. People got to settle down. There's just haters, and it is what it is. She'll, as 50 Cent, what did he say? Told me, let the haters hate and watch the money pile up. Bianca Andreescu is doing that very well in her career so far.
Oh man.
All right, let's move on to Cincy briefly here before we give out our U.S. Open power rankings. Our astute co-host Stephen Boughton actually released a pretty cool graphic regarding Borna Coric run.
Yes.
5 of 6 players that he faced en route to the final, including the final, were seeded. Do you want to run those off, Stephen? It was pretty remarkable.
Absolutely. It was crazy. I'll just pull it up here. He beat Musetti in round 1, who's a good player, unseeded though. Then he beat the number 2 seed Nadal. Then he beat number 15 seed Bautista Agut. Then he beat the number 7 seed, our guy, Felix Auger-Aliassime. Not cool. Then he beat number 9 seed Cam Norrie, who's been just amazing for the last year and a half, 2 years. And in the final, he beat Stefanos Tsitsipas, who beat Daniil Medvedev in the semifinals. So he just ran the table, basically. Like, he beat all of the best players in that tournament. Like, sometimes when you see a guy who's unseeded come through and win a tournament, they might be playing someone in the final who, all the top seeds might have lost early, but he basically went through like as tough a possible route as you could go. And he only dropped 1 set against Nadal. Like, he was just dominant, and it's crazy. I did have if you saw our latest video, I gave the slice on, people. a lot of people were reacting and kind of taking it. There was like, look how deep the ATP is. A guy who's ranked 125 or whatever he was or 52 can win the tournament. And I was like, that's not the take. Like the take is that Borna, who was a top 15 player before, who's like, very talented, came back quickly from his shoulder surgery, which is like he literally lost last week in Toronto in the first round to Cilic, and then he just like found this level and then just destroyed everyone in Cincinnati, which is like, I don't know, but that's such a contrast to like what every other player who's coming back from a big injury right now is doing. It's always a slow build, like Bianca, mental injury,
Layla,
team Layla, Andy Murray, who's a lot older, but you know what I mean? Like they all like slowly build up. It seems like they're not just coming back and all of a sudden just winning a Masters 1000. So yeah, crazy from Borna Coric. That was big time.
Yeah, and I feel like that kind of ties in with like people not remembering or like not being as familiar with these players. Like with the same thing with Corinne Busta winning in Montreal. Like a lot of these fans like don't know these players. So like if you don't know that Coric, had a shoulder surgery and you don't know that he was like a top 15 player before, then yeah, you're going to be like, wow, look at this like very low ranked player. He just kind of bulldozed through all these players. Who is he? But like, then there's us where it's like, we know, like we've seen this guy before. We've seen what he can do.
Yeah, and that doesn't take away from how shocking it is, right? Like it's still incredibly shocking that he won the Masters. He'd never won a Masters 1000 before. So like he'd been to a final, but the shocking part is not that he was ranked so low and won. The shocking part is like how he just came back and found that form out of not having that form for the last 4 or 5 months. It's just amazing. But I guess like when he talked about just putting in those hours in the gym behind the scenes, like I think we can all relate to it. Like when things aren't going your way, like it can be really tough as an athlete. So there could be I'm sure there's no better feeling than winning a tournament like that after having to come back from an injury, like we've seen Nadal do, like we've seen Djokovic do, like we've seen Federer do. Like they've all come back from very low points to like win majors, and I just can't imagine. I can't really relate to a feeling like that yet in my life. So
the mental discipline for him to have too. Like imagine being like, little tap on the shoulder. It's like, good win. Oh, you got Nadal next. Good win. Oh, you got Felix next. Oh, you got Norrie. It's just like, oh my gosh, I don't get like any cakewalk here. Like he just had to like absolute bulldoze through the tournament to claim his first Masters ATP 1000 title. So pretty wicked for him.
Super wicked.
And speaking of shocking, I guess on the women's side, Coric Garcia, she won. And the reason I say speaking of shocking is because she had a quote that kind of stood out to me last week where she was talking about if you're a top like 15, 20 player or whatever, and you're playing well and people are like kind of like, wow, like you're like the best player in the world, but then you start to like play badly, you lose a couple of matches and all of a sudden it's like, wow, like you're such a bad player. And then you go and you win a tournament like she did now. She won Cincy and people are surprised again. But you were always that player. It's just you go through those ups and downs. And I thought that was like super insightful from her. And then I also wanted to mention, I was watching her hit in Toronto a couple of weeks ago. I thought her hitting looked fantastic. I was surprised she didn't go further in Toronto, to be honest with you guys. So to see her go and win the title at Cincy, I think is not as surprising as the general population might think.
Yeah, and she beat in Bad Homburg, she beat literally our girl Andreescu in the final. So it's like not even her first title of this year. And it's like that's a good point that you brought up, or I guess she brought up, is that the difference between being ranked like 10 and like 20 is not really much. Like as far as level, it's just like form, and like that goes in and out. And yeah, on the WTA especially, like there's just like looking forward to the US Open. I'm super excited to see that draw. I was looking at the rankings today. There's 15 girls at least out there that I would just not be surprised at all if they won the US Open, which is like so different to the ATP historically. But now ATP is also getting a lot more open, especially with Djokovic not being there this year. So yeah, awesome for Coric Garcia and awesome for Borna Coric getting those W's, getting that bag, securing the bag.
Quickly, some breaking news before we get to our power rankings. 3-time major champ Angelique Kerber announced she's expecting her first child. She's not going to be playing in the U.S. Open. She's going to miss the next several months on tour. So no.
I like
Kerber.
her quote. She said, I thought 2v1 was not fair, so I withdrew from the U.S. Open. I'm like, touche. Although Like, I wonder how pregnant she is, but like, do you guys remember how pregnant Serena Williams was when she won the 2017 or Australian Open? That was pretty crazy. I'm sure it was only like a month maybe or something, but still, like any amount.
Still, like at any point, it's because like early you get like the morning sickness and
you can, and it's. I mean, I'm not a woman, so I don't know, but like it's just got to be crazy things going on.
Yeah,
things going on. So congrats to Angie Kerber. That's some would say the more important things in life. So that's amazing. And I think I heard she's going to make a comeback after. She's planning to keep playing tennis after the pregnancy. So that's cool. So anyways, we can move on. But
let's start with Steven for U.S. Open power rankings. List them Canadians.
Yeah, good. I feel like we always just like pull these out of our hat, like at the time we're going, which is good. Like we want our feelings because we're obviously all thinking about
raw.
These, like we're sitting up every night for probably 1 or 2 hours just looking into the darkness, like thinking.
Yeah, I was up to
yes, exactly.
So now we come out here to distill what we actually have been thinking, and my distillation is I got Felix as 1, which I feel bad about now. Like I don't know if you see me on Twitter, but I'm like his bad luck charm. Now, I guess like I should maybe just quit talking about him for the next few months. In the French Open, I was pretty high on his horse, which is fine. He did well there. But then at Wimbledon, I was like tooting his horn so much before the tournament. First round loss to Cressy. Ouch, like train wreck. And then he was playing so good in Toronto. I put out all these things. Like I was like, oh, he's the mayor of Montreal. Like he's like I was putting out the video of him like doing his like hitting that sweet shot and like having the crowd go nuts. I was like, this guy's winning this tournament, loses the next. Like I called it like a malfunction on the next round to Casper Ruud. Like it was like he could not put the ball in the court for the whole first set and a half. It was insane. And then in Cincinnati, like he's in like the quarterfinals, and I was like, you know what, FAA in Cincinnati rhymes, or it sounds pretty good, has a nice ring to it. Loses the next round. So I'm done overhyping him, but
he's still numero uno.
He is numero uno for me at U.S. Open. He made the semifinals last year. I think he's our best player right now. I think that's pretty clear. And he's going to be ranked probably because Djokovic is going to pull out. He's going to be ranked the number 6 seed, which is pretty high. Like the difference between being top 8 or not matters because if you're top 8, that means you won't play another top 8 player until the quarterfinals. So it's like I would say for him, if he loses before the quarterfinals, that's a big disappointment for him and for us. So Felix number 1, Bianca number 2, Layla number 3. No, sorry, Bianca number 2, Shapo number 3, Layla number 4 is mine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to say my power rankings are exactly the same as yours, Steven.
Respect.
Yeah, and I think the reason why I'd probably leave Shapo ahead of Layla is because she's still kind of coming back from injury. But the line is the margin is very close. Like it could be either or, but I'll stick with Shapo in front because I got to put some level of confidence into him that he can do something at the U.S. Open.
He did win twice last in Cincinnati. That was, it was not straightforward like against Tommy Paul, but it was like, he had to smash a racket and, Tommy Paul also kind of malfunctioned and then he basically Shapo just stopped missing, which was a beautiful thing, and then he won. So yeah, I like that. How about you, Brendan?
Okay, well I'll roll through some of the odds presented by PointsBet Canada. Felix, the best out of all the Canadians at plus 2,500. Bianca and Layla are actually tied at plus 2,800, and then long shot to win it all is Dennis at plus 8,000 to win the tournament outright, which I was pretty shocked to see. Those are pretty long odds. But he also has been having kind of a rough 2022. But Felix, I'll definitely put at number 1. I mean, he has still been on a bit of a heater, like back-to-back quarterfinal appearances, if you include Los Cabos, granted at ATP 250, but still. And then I'll probably put Layla at number 2, Bianca at 3. I'll keep Shapo at 4. I'm just not really convinced right now. That guy's got to stop spraying it, and he's got to find his groove. You
think Layla will go further than Bianca?
I do, Karina. And I also did, sprinkle some money on her to win outright a month ago.
There we go.
A month ago.
There it is.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Like it's a bit of a. I mean, I don't want to go exactly like we all have the same power rankings. People are just gonna watch something else, like how to make
True.
It means we're super smart and credible, and we're all on the same page here.
People
tennis
just
fans
look
will
down
be
the
so
line.
bored by our same power rankings that they'll literally stop watching tennis content. They'll go watch it. According to Brendan.
They're just gonna look up how-to vids, and then we won't get our clicks. So,
Yeah, that's fair. We need our clicks, but I like that. The thing is, like, and if we're all being honest here, all 4 of them could do serious damage.
Yeah.
Like, let's. I tweeted out, Canadian tennis is going through market correction. They've all had crazy success as youngsters. Now it's kind of got to find their second wind, the second act of their career, if you will. Even though, I think Layla's still 19 or she's 20. I don't know. Anyway, she's still in the first act. But they could all 19. Go on a crazy run. We've had Bianca win it, crazy. We've had Layla get to the final. And we've had Felix in the semifinal, and I think Chapo in the quarterfinal. So they can all do it. U.S. Open, North American.
It's super, super random and has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Perfect. But you saying Layla being 19 made me remember that in Emma Raducanu's press conference, I found out that her and I were born in the same hospital like 3 months apart.
That's
pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know why. So I think it was Lucas Weiss who asked her where in Toronto she's gonna go because she was born in Toronto, and she goes, "Well, I was born in North York General Hospital, so I'll go there," which is weird because why would you go to your hospital that you were born at? But that's how I found out that Emma and I were born at the same hospital, and her birthday's in November, mine's in August. And
also, shout out Lucas Weiss and other reporters for posing questions with masks on. I feel like that's incredibly hard to do, and he just did it with ease. So I for one, it's optional now. I for one was not wearing one. I don't think Karina was either in the press room. So
damn,
unbelievable.
Well, no, I mean, we don't have to. It's like personal preference now, right? Like we don't. Come on, but if you're an athlete too, you probably just have to look right into their eyes because I'm sure
that's
some
true,
people like, wait, what'd you say? Like, at least when the people that did have a mask on were very clear and concise. That's good. All right, let's get to our most popular segment, Tweet of the Week. I sent this off to the group weeks ago. It was NBO Montreal. A lot of rain delays going on in both Toronto and Montreal. But my favorite was when Montreal Twitter tweeted out, I believe it was Jalen Brooksby, during a rain delay, just crushing a burger in Montreal. Yes. Not exactly a banana or, or I think it was Vasek Pospisil who actually kickstarted the maple syrup. Yep. Nothing, I was shocked to see. And then he's trying to go out and battle back through a second set.
Maybe Julian should have found out where that burger was from.
Yeah, I was thinking La Boulée or something, or maybe is there a Burger Priest in Montreal? Probably not. I don't know. The equivalent of one of those. But yeah, I don't see how that would provide any sort of boost to.
I'm going to put it on the screen here.
Do we have it? Oh, yes.
It's just dirty. Just absolutely crushing a burger. That makes me super hungry. I've just realized I haven't eaten lunch and it's 3:00.
Wait, watch him look at it though. Okay. It's on a loop, right? He looks at it. He's like, "Oh, I'm ready for this." Ready? Watch him. Oh,
he's like, "Oh." There's a little neck crack before going in there. That's that's relatable. That's serious business.
Oh my god, I've been there, and Steven's gonna be there in about 20 minutes because he hasn't eaten lunch yet.
Yeah, that's true.
We gotta do it a side by side.
God,
I'm gonna be doing a little wrap business, and I got some Greek pork cooked up already. I got some bell peppers. I'm going to put in there a little souvlaki, a little gyros. You know what I'm talking about?
We haven't even had breakfast yet in Ontario, Steven.
You gotta go sit there, Steven. You gotta sit right where you're sitting right now. Start filming and just do the same thing as Brooksby.
I want to see the neck crack too, and you just going into the kill.
He's a crazy man. That's funny. Jalen or Jensen Brooksby is so intense on the court. It carries on with him eating food on the court, which is respect.
Yeah. All right, that's it for us. Episode 10 complete. Be sure to follow along. Follow us on our YouTube channel, subscribe, and Twitter, Instagram. For Karina, Steven, I'm Brendan. We'll see you next time.